I'm going to show you one real quick thing here because I wanted to point this out. I mentioned that I was going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about this. Where did it go? So Gia McCool, of all people, has decided that she's going to jump the shark finally, and here's her. Oh, here it is. I've heard this narrative so often that it is like I have to address this because she's, like I said, she's sort of sold her ass out, and I think it's time to sort of pick this apart because I'm getting a little. I said I was going to talk about this on this show. I got about 15, 20 minutes left, so let me, where to go? Share a screen. Here we go. Can you see this? Yes, you can. All right, here we go. Here's Gia McCool and whoever's doing her tweeting for her because clearly she doesn't like to follow up too much on this kind of shit. But the truth is that modern women are a result of weak men, whether it's simps or just regular guys that remain silent in the presence of unacceptable behavior. Most women need to be led, and society has led them exactly to where they are right now. Okay, so this is something that I have addressed God knows how many times. And this, of course, she was responding to this guy. Morally, this should be applied to men too. As a man, it morally irritates me to hear men brag about how many women they've slept with. When's the last time you heard some guy say, you know, I've slept with so many chicks? Like, who is fucking bragging about that? I'd like to know. Like maybe in the chat, like how many guys are out there just popping off about how many chicks they've fucked? Because I think this is like one of these bullshit narratives that a lot of these sort of moral crusaders want to throw out there. Oh, these guys are just out there stroking their egos because they want to tell you how many chicks they fuck. Well, first of all, why would that bother you? And then second of all, who is doing this? It also irritates me that men complain about how easy women are when men are the reason why women are easy. Okay, so this is the moral paradox right here. And I will ask this question one more fucking time. Do women have moral agency? Because that's where this all comes back down to. Do women have moral agency? Are they sinless? Can they be held accountable for any of their fucking actions? Because if women are the way they are because of men, then they have no moral agency. That's where it goes. People go, well, we're not saying that they can't be held accountable. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's exactly what you're saying. Because you're saying that if I was doing something different, if it's men's fault that women behave the way they are. And I'm sick to fucking death of this narrative. Either women have moral agency or they don't have moral agency. Because I hate to use binaries because you know I hate that shit. But that's really, I'm not defining the terms. You're defining the terms. Do women have moral agency or not? Because if they don't, then anything that they do, we can't, like, for this sort of traditional conservative mindset that is fundamentally based on personal responsibility, you might as well throw that shit out the window right now. That makes no fucking difference, because if women don't have any moral agency and their actions are all blamable on men, then your personal responsibility and holding women accountable and all this other bullshit just flies right out the fucking window. Like, they're sinless. If a woman goes to heaven or hell, it's because of you. That's what it is. And that's what it boils down to. And I'm sick to death of this bullshit. At what point are we not our sister's keeper? At what point do we say, that's on you? You made that fucking decision. You decided to go on OnlyFans. Oh, well, yeah, but it's men who are watching them and everything. That's always going to be the case. So if that's the operative, if that's the universal operative, that's the operative condition. You're making the choice to go and do that. Okay, well, it's a lot of money, but okay, well, whatever. I don't care what the reward is. The risk to reward factors are. You're making the choice to do that. Oh, well, that's not me. Men force me into that. Culture forced me into that. Society forced me into that. It's patriarchy. That's exactly what feminists use all the time. Oh, if it wasn't a patriarchal society, then I wouldn't feel the need to do that. Okay, well, are you responsible for your own actions? I mentioned this before. Is it Is it hypo agency or hyper agency? Hyper agency is you happen to the world. Hypo agency is the world happens to you. And the way traditional conservatives have been leaning for a long time, and I'm going to show you just how long they've been leaning this way, is hypo agency for women and hyper agency for men. And that's all it's about. So any sin that a woman commits is a man's fault, and it's not on the woman. So either you accept that and you start preaching that from the fucking highest pulpit that you can get on, or you shut the fuck up and you hold women accountable for their actions. And that's where the disconnect is between the red pill and traditional conservatism right now. We're talking about personal responsibility. We're talking about accountability for women, but you don't want to do that. You want to put it back on men. It's always easier to put it back on men. So I'm going to throw this out here one more time. So that was the first part of this. And where's the second part? And then she throws this one out there. It will never be discussed. Okay, so they're like, this needs to be as much a topic, if not more of a topic, than how awful women are. Well, first of all, no one's saying how awful women are. We're talking about personal responsibility and accountability. If it seems like that's making women out to be awful, then that's on you and your interpretation of it. Now, Gia pops off with this. It will never be discussed because what goes viral online is meant to encourage bad behavior. And the solutions involve taking away freedom to both men and women. And that's like putting toothpaste back in the tube. Okay, guess what? I'm doing it right now. It will never be talked about. Fuck you. I'm talking about it right now. And you know what? I was talking about it as far back as, let's see. Let's show you this one. Sister's Keeper. Oh my goodness. Rollo actually wrote about this in July 14th, 2015. We've been talking about this for quite some time, Gia. So go wipe your ass with this bullshit about it will never be discussed. Fuck you. Been talking about this for almost a decade. In fact, I've got another one here called Little Big Head too, which is really a really great one. But I've been talking about this for forever. And just to let you know, it's out there. And anytime you're going to throw this at me, I'm going to throw this one right back at you. Okay. Men are to blame for women's behavior. The feminine imperative has as much power as men have allowed it to have. Hypergamy, open or otherwise, wouldn't be, Hypergamy, open or otherwise, wouldn't be the unrestrained social juggernaut it has become without men's complicity or accomplice. This quote is the go-to rationalization I read from a lot of women just coming to terms with their first taste of the red pill. Unfortunately, it's also become a common refrain among a certain set of the manosphere. This rationale is usually particular to the moral absolutist strains of the manosphere. When I read it from women, it's kind of ironic considering it usually comes from women who share in the same moral absolutism, who were so different when they were in college, but they've had their epiphany phase and got right with God. They often cling to, and by the way, looking directly at you, Gia, and your former pornography life and your former your former OnlyFans, your former nude shots, whatever it is. So, go wipe your ass with this bullshit about how it's men's fault that you had. So is it men's fault that you had to go and do all this stuff that you did prior to becoming who you are right now? They often cling to the strong independent identity for themselves, but turn over a rock and show them the visceral, observable, ugly truth of unfettered hypergamy. And then it's men's partial or total responsibility for fostering women's conditions. Oh, look, Rollo wrote this as far back as 2015. Yes, people talk about it. Yes, it's in the manosphere. Yes, it's part of the red pill. Understand who the fuck you're talking. Like, I will own you on every fucking topic. No, they never talk about this. Oh, really? I'll be happy to. Have you checked the Rational Male? Have you read anything Rollo's talked about? Have you watched any of the stuff he's talking about? If you're like definition of the red pill or the man, if you think that the red pill is defined by Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, God forbid, Pearl Davis, if you think that the red pill is defined by whatever podcast, if you think that even Access Vegas for that matter, if you think it is defined by any one of those singular podcasts, you are gravely mistaken. And that's the problem, is you're just as much a grifter as all the people you're calling grifters. You're just as much a part of the problem as the people you think are part of the problem, because you won't do your homework. You won't do your due diligence. You won't figure this shit out on your own. Well, where's myself, Ryan Stone, a few other notable names that I could rattle off right now. We're the research and development department for the Red Pill, and have been so for, in my case, over 2 decades. Before you start mouthing off, before you start like throwing rocks, before you start, pointing fingers and getting accusatory about this shit, why don't you fucking follow up and do your fucking homework before you do? You know why? Because because doing so would not play on Twitter. It would not play because of exactly what you're saying right here. It will never be discussed because of what goes viral online is meant to encourage bad behavior. Guess what else? You're doing exactly the same thing. You're doing exactly the same thing by not doing your homework and doing your due diligence. They'll never talk about it. We've been talking about it forever. Been talking about it, well, at least since July 14th, 2015. There's one. I probably have something even earlier than that, but that was the best one I could find, right?